you. Thank you.
And we are live. Hello, puppies, and everyone. Welcome back to the Isle of Show. We took 2 weeks off. It was a little bit of a break. It was a little bit of a nice break too. I was like, it was weird. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not having to set up the computer tonight. This is so weird. So, in celebration of coming back from our 2-week hiatus, I have a co-host tonight. The one, the only, the burning block about 99.
Hello.
Gosh, that's creepy. So he will be my technician tonight, and he will be asking some spare questions. But don't worry, his fire facts are still in effect. They're still a thing. So, thank you everybody who's here. I've seen Super Russ. I saw Rob, Not Near Mint. I've seen Glitter and Duct Tape. I know I saw somebody else. I know I did. Unruly Simeon, hello. So everybody, welcome to the show for YouTube. The Isle of YouTube is 90. Jed, hello.
Hello there.
And for all the 90-holics in the chat, YouTube is 90. And it feels so good to be on the Isle of 90 because that's where we all are just soaking in and just taking in the greatness of 90. I love it. Thank you guys for just having me be on the show. I appreciate it so much, Kate.
Absolutely.
And Rena, it's just incredible to be here. You know, like
Well,
you guys
thank you
are the
so
true
much.
stars of YouTube. It's not me, so I'm just honored to be here.
Oh, well,
Aw.
thank you. But my friends, tonight the show is about you. So you have a spotlight. We needed a flashlight. That's what we needed, just to kind of like beam or like some sort of special effects on StreamYard that we do. Oh, okay, there you go. So
Perfect. Sure, come in
hello,
quick,
Barbarian. All right, so are you ready? We're here to ambush you.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Perfect. I just have like a mixed assortment of questions, and kind of like how our show focuses on getting to know the people of our community. This one is just like an all-around different questions, just to see, everything about you.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Bring it.
Now, everybody knows, I don't think this is any stranger to anybody, that you love sports. So, I've heard that you like soccer, and I know you're a Dolphins fan, and
Fins up. Let's
and
go, baby.
and so my first question is, which one is your favorite? If you had to pick one, which one's your favorite?
I mean, I guess if I had to choose one sport, like right now, my favorite would probably be soccer. I guess shockingly, I guess you could say, because I play pickup soccer on Saturdays and Sundays, and there's just something about playing soccer. I didn't play growing up as a kid. I actually played baseball all my life, since I want to say about the age of like 5 or 6 until I was 18. I played baseball. I played all the way through high school. I played on my high school team. On my high school team, I was lucky enough to be on a national championship team and a back-to-back state championship team. So I really got like that full experience from baseball, and it broke my mom's heart that I didn't want to play after high school because I could have played after high school. I had a couple opportunities to, not on a like big level, like at a D1 school, but like D2 or D3 level, I could have gone and played baseball, and I didn't want to do it anymore because the team that I was on in high school, we traveled the country, we played in tournaments. So I already felt like I had that experience. So I wanted to do something different when I got out of high school. So like baseball always has like a special place in my heart. But 3 years ago, I was introduced to playing soccer. I was already watching soccer, and it just took me by storm, so to speak. And I just have fallen in love with it. I love watching it. I love playing, of course. And I guess that would be my number one sport right now. And especially having a son, I think soccer is the most, I guess, fit you have to be in any sport to like run up and down the field. So soccer is,
What position did you play in baseball?
Well, of course, in Little League, I played every position. That's like, I think, just goes without being said in Little League. But in high school, my freshman year, I was a second baseman. And then my sophomore year, I started to get a little taller, so they moved me over to first base. And then from sophomore to my senior year, I played first base. So
there you go. Very nice. I always hear like people's like, oh yeah, I was out in the outfield, so sometimes
hold on. Outfield is no joke. Once you get to a certain, especially high school, like you have to be a good outfielder in a sense to play high school baseball, because high school baseball is super competitive, at least down here in South Florida. Can't speak for the rest of the country, but no. In high school, you have to be a good outfielder. Outfielder is no joke. And I'll say this. I wish I would have played outfield more, because when I go back to play in my alumni games, even though I play first base, I'm always like the first guy to try and get in the outfield.
Right.
Yeah, I want to get – it's crazy, but get under the pop flies. You get, like, I don't know. Like, there's something about the outfield. Throwing someone out like second or third base, like, come on. So.
Well, you got to have a pretty powerful arm too, because there's a difference between like throwing to someone at one of the bases and being, like all the way out in the field and having to chuck it,
Definitely. And I probably don't have that arm, and that's probably why I wasn't in the outfield in high school, and that's why they probably kept me in the infield, But you're absolutely right, Rena. You have to have an arm to be in the outfield to like really like gun someone down. So in Little League, you don't want to be in the outfield. I can hear that. But once you get to a certain level, like you have to be a certain athlete to be in the outfield. So I respect any outfielder for sure, because some of those pop flies go straight into the sun, and you got to figure out how to track it and get it out once it comes out of the sun. And that's hard.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm terrible at like all sports, as like everyone knows. The only sport that I could do partially well was soccer, just because it wasn't anything I had to throw. And it's like, yeah, there was a little bit of running, but I would just like kick the ball to one of my more athletic players and be like, ha, suckers, go chase him.
Hey, sometimes there's an art in finding the open, the open man or the open person to score that goal, So, hey, you were onto something there too, finding the right person to score.
So now, sports aside, you also have a wide variety of hobbies that you have as well, because I know that you like to fish. You also, you love music, and you collect comics. And then there is sports and playing soccer. So, I mean, again, kind of mirroring the first question, which one's your favorite? Which one do you find yourself doing most often?
I mean, right now it's probably playing soccer, just because of where I am in my life right now with, little 90, having to take a step back from collecting right now and, buying new books and stuff like that, just because, got to focus on little guy and all that.
Right.
I still love music, and I want to get back out there with Javi and the boys, so to speak. Like, there's just like a whole world of bars starting to open up again that are allowing people to come back. And that's a whole market to like kind of like take in. But I guess, I don't want to choose one. And I guess that's something that's been something I've always kind of done all my life. I've always kind of been a little bit into everything, so to speak. If I was in, playing baseball, and if it was collecting comics or like Pokemon cards at that time, I always did that. And then I always had the band, and those were like the things I guess I've always surrounded myself with, or like just filled my time up with, just to keep myself busy, keep myself out of trouble. Mm-hmm. Of course, when I got home, played some video games, a big, video game nerd outside of that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to choose one, because I really think those are all things that just define me as who I am as a person and who I am today. And of course, right now, I would love to be doing some of the other things, but just life happens. And as you guys get older, you will experience that. And I'm just letting life happen and doing the things I can when I can do it. And I'm sure those other things will come back up and I'll get back into them. But I guess right now, soccer is the one thing that I have, and fishing, where I don't really have to like go out and hunt or go out and like, I find, I guess, meet up with the band, so to speak. I mean, I guess you got to find a group of people that want to play soccer, but where I live, there's so many soccer fields and it's really easy to play like pickup soccer. So that's why I kind of go and do it. But man, I don't know if I can choose one, Rena. That's a hard question on that level,
Right.
But I love them all.
How'd you get into fishing? Because I mean, like you grew up playing sports, and then you were in the band with your friends, and then you collected, the cards and the comics on the side. But how did fishing come around into all of that?
Well, being down here in South Florida, fishing is like a really big thing. Being that there's a ton of lakes everywhere, so you have lakes. You have I don't know. I guess you can say ponds because I guess.
Canal
up north, 'cause up north, like a lake is like a Great Lake or whatever the case may be. But down here we have ponds or like neighborhood lakes and canals that are everywhere. So as a kid, there was a there was a pond or a lake in my neighborhood that I used to go up. Me and my brother would walk to the front of the neighborhood, get to the front of the lake because where our house was, like the fences from our two neighbors like blocked off the entrance to the actual lake, so we had to walk around and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So we would always like kind of fish as kids, but it wasn't something that I guess we were super heavy into, so to speak. My uncle had a fishing charter that would a few times we would go out and deep sea fish and whatnot. So down here in South Florida, I just feel like fishing is just like a thing. And then currently where I live, like I literally live on a canal. So since I've been here, I want to say like the first year I was here, I didn't really fish or whatever, but my brother was like, bro, there's a canal in your backyard, bro. Go out there and fish. I was like, you're absolutely right. And then it just sparked everything up again. It became a fad, according to my wife, because then I was like, yo, I just want to fish, but easy because I can literally open my back door and I'm on a canal. So it just, right now it's easy access, and I think it's just always in everyone in South Florida, so to speak, because Bake's in the chat, right? I saw him. Bake will tell you, he's all about fishing. I was like, yo, Bake, I got a charter going out tomorrow. He'd be like, yo, I'll load up the cooler. Let's go catch some mahi, grill them up afterwards, and have a day. That's just a thing that we do down here in South Florida is fish.
I'd be too scared of the gators because they're like, I'd say like probably 2 out of 5 times there's a canal with a gator in it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But being from down here, and actually that's a common thing. Like I grew up right next to the Everglades. Like literally my neighborhood, Everglades. Gators used to come up and underneath our cars, and they're in the lakes, and I don't know, it's crazy. Like a gator's not going to go after you unless you're messing with it. If you're messing with it, he's going to mess with you. But most of the time when a gator sees you, he's not going after you, so you just keep your distance and like, all right, I'm not going to fish here anymore. Like, you see the gator. All right, cool. Well, I'm out. But a gator's not going to come in out of the lake and come running after you unless you're messing with it. Like I can promise you that. Like being down here, and I know that sounds crazy, but being from South Florida, just like an everyday thing. Like gators, all right, cool, yeah, right there.
Well, I'd be worried about keeping pets because like all my cats go outside, and it's like we still occasionally have to worry about the the occasional coyote, especially if they hop the fence. But it's like I would be like, nope. If there's a canal right off my backyard, I'm not letting any of my pets out. That's a big old nope. Especially because they can climb. A couple of them can climb freaking chain link fences.
Well, of course, you have to be mindful of your pets down here. I'm not saying that a gator is not going to go get your dog. Like that's for sure. But like as far as a gator coming after you, you're pretty safe in those regards. But no, you definitely got to watch out for your dogs in that regard. And down here in South Florida, a big thing outside of gators for your dogs is the toads down here, because the toads down here actually they extract this poisonous fume, or like I don't know what it is, but it'll kill your dog, and it's happened to a lot of people down here. So really, like during the summertime, like a lot of people down here in South Florida have to be careful with like the toads and the frogs, because those things are actually pretty dangerous as far as your pets and animals.
I wouldn't have ever known that. I'm like, but frogs are little and cute and harmless.
Oh no, no. But there's some toads down here that they get huge, and then they're poisonous and really bad for your dogs. Like if you ever see your dog get one, like they tell you immediately, like it's literally like stick a hose down your dog's throat to like wash out the fumes, or like to even give them milk. I've experienced it. A dog of mine actually got a hold of one. Very scary moment. How to get him to the vet. The vet's pretty much like declared him dead, but they were able to like resuscitate him and bring him back. So we were very grateful for that. And it sounds crazy, but he lived to be like 17 years old or 18 years old. And everyone's like, yo, how's this dog this old? And I'm like, I think it's because he already died and like came back, but old man Skeet, or Petey was his name, but shout out to Petey. He was like one of my childhood dogs, and he actually got a hold of a toad, and that was like a scary moment, man. And like down here in South Florida, like people know those toads are deadly to your dog, so you have to be like really careful for that, especially in the summertime. But we're about to get out of that, so we're good.
Right. Dang, that is crazy. I had no idea. Why are like pets allergic to everything? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say they're like allergic, but especially down here in South Florida, like how much the population has grown. Like, we're literally like going into these animals' homes, so like these Everglade type of species, and this is how they survive. That's how this toad survives is, it extracts this poison from its skin so that way it can survive. So like you can't fault that, and you can't fault the dog being a dog when like, yo, I want to go get the frog. But you just got to be careful. That's all.
Right.
And be mindful of it. But yeah, human nature, or just nature in general, you can't stop that, Rena. It just
right. All right, we're at the 17-minute mark, so now I'm going to turn it over to you for your glamorous fire facts. Here we go.
I need some glasses, some fancy reading glasses.
I have sunglasses.
That's right, boys. Okay. So we have BBA 99's Fire Facts. I get to co-host and Fire Fact. Whoa. So that's pretty cool. So let's start off with fact number 1 is that 90 loves wrestling, which, I mean, I can see why. It's pretty cool. And then number 2 is that 90 was in a band with Javi. And they make some pretty good music, I gotta say. They make some good music. And then number 3 is that he loves all the Miami, Florida teams. Like, for example, Dolphins, which is a really good team.
Our grandparents love Dolphins.
Yeah.
Fans up. Let's go, baby. I love your grandparents. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Don Shula fans, I'm sure.
And then the greatest number 4. Wow, number 4 is that 90 loves Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of Fire Facts, but I can't leave because I'm co-hosting.
Yeah, now you're stuck. And he joined you in the shades.
I thought we had to get our glasses on. I thought that's what. All right, there we go. And you already know I'm rocking that Star Wars shirt, so
I'm just wearing like a meme.
And then you know me, is sporting my stuff.
Yeah.
So I now have a question that hits pretty close to home, literally and figuratively. So how has your life changed since becoming a dad? Because your son's about to turn 8 months old. So
yeah, I mean, life has completely changed since becoming a dad. Like, I mean, perfect example is, as much as I want to go out and hunt for comic books and go get this book and go get that book, I can't. I got my son. I got to prioritize him and my family, and it's changed everything. But it's not a bad thing because it's a part of life, and it's the next step in life that I'm at currently, and I love everything about it. He's incredible. I love, I'll say this. I don't love it when he wakes up at like 2 a.m. sometimes, and he needs me to give him a bottle, and he's screaming, and I was just sleeping too. I'm like, come on, bruh. But I love waking up every morning and like going into his room. Sometimes he's crying, sometimes he's not, and he's just like waiting for someone to come see him. And just the moment he sees me, he gives me a big smile. And like, even though he can't say it yet, I know he knows that I'm his dad. And I don't know, it just gives me such pleasure and joy. And you guys will experience one day when, you know, you have kids, and your mom can relate to this. But I don't know, I guess I never understood my mom or my dad until I had my own. And they always say that you're never going to understand until you have your own kids. And the moment he was born, I completely understood everything they meant from that point on. And I'm sure I can't even understand what they feel like now as grandparents, because, you know, that's probably a whole nother level. But I enjoy everything about it. It's changed my life completely, and I would not change anything about it for sure. He's definitely, I guess, everything to me at this point. I would give up the comic books. I would give up the soccer. I would give up the music for little 90, of course. Like, not even a question.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, right? All right. Well, don't tell him that when he's older. All right. We already have it recorded, right? All right. Never mind.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. I had somebody recommend that we call the show Isle of Dad, or Isle of the Dad, and the person who suggested it, you know who you are. You're in the chat. You know what you did.
Yeah. Oh, I probably could take a guess, but yo, shout out to my boy Javi. I see my guy Javi in the chat. Javi, I love you, brother.
Yeah, Javi, thank you for swinging by. It's nice to see you. Do you have any like stories or experiences with your son so far? I mean, I know it's only been 8 months, but I know my mom's got just a pile of them from when we were little. I wasn't a noisy sleeper. I did not cry when I slept, but you did.
I was just a big wham.
you cried.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, he's a pretty good sleeper for the most part. There's been a couple weeks, I guess, that, you know, he struggled, I guess, sleeping through the night, so to speak. And there's some nights where, you know, he may wake up in the middle of it. But for the most part, he's a great sleeper. I guess a funny story would be when my brother got married. You know, he had a very small, intimate wedding. It was on a beach up in Naples, Florida. And as soon as, like, you know, they pronounced him, you know, man and wife, like I straight, like, I was holding him the whole time, and like I had this watch on, so he's just looking at my watch, banging on it, you know, the whole time. And then as soon as they, you know, announce everything, like I straight up just took him up, like straight Lion King style, and just like, yeah, you know. He was not about it. Like my brother saw it. Like he saw my brother. Like my brother told me later. He goes, "Yo, I saw his face. He was not about it." He goes, "It was so funny though." You know, and he cried for a second, and I calmed him down. But I guess so far that would be like a moment that we've had. I mean, outside of that, it just really, I mean, because he's so young, so it's just more about like milestones. And your mom might be able to relate to this, like, you know, him just sitting up on his own. Like right now, it's like, oh my God, like, all right, dude's sitting up on his own. He's holding his own bottle. Like those things, like as small as it may seem, like you're like, wow, like this little being that was literally like dependent on me for everything is starting to slowly become a little more independent. So I'm experiencing that right now. So those are like kind of the stories I have. I'm sure as he gets older, you know, when he starts talking and stuff like that, I'll probably have more when he says some like ridiculous things. But, you know, right now it's more about like those little small milestones, because I guess, you know, unless you have a child, you know, you don't realize it. Like someone's so dependent on you, and then take just something that's just sitting up on his own. You're like, whoa, all right, man. Like, you know, like here we go. Like, all right, like give me some. But he don't even understand none of that. He's just looking at me like, what? Like, you know. But yeah, I mean, those things right now are just like really awesome. And like the biggest thing right now for me is like me being able to give him his bottle and like he can like feed himself. I'm like, all right, cool, dude, feed yourself. I'm gonna clean some dishes. You got some more clean bottles, so you know when you're hungry again, all right? You know, so it's helping me out there. But it's crazy. He's growing up fast, and it's too fast for my wife. She wish she can just like put him back in her. You know, she's like, oh, he's going up too fast. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, and it's crazy too because, like, I remember when he was a baby because, I was old enough to.
This guy, no way.
I mean, because it was crazy because. I remember we were playing in our room once, and he sometimes he would like flop over and like like hit his head, or he'd get upset, or whatever.
I would just like completely just destroy myself all the time.
Yeah, no, he was always hitting his head, but I remember. Every now and then it would be my fault why he would fall over or he would start crying. And
then I'd get so angry at you.
Well, because then, like one of my parents would walk in and be like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, blah, blah happened. And like totally like gloss right over it. But I remember when he started talking, we were playing this game where I was trying to bite his finger, and I don't
remember that.
No, and I accidentally got him. And so my mom came in, she picked him up, and she started calming him down. She left the room and then came back, and she's like, so your brother said that you bit his finger. I'm like, oh,
Bet you regret me knowing English now.
Yeah. I think we both accidentally called 911. I think that's something we both did on accident.
What?
Yes, we did.
No.
Yeah, Dad can attest. I called once on accident.
It might have happened.
Apparently, I called once on accident before we moved into the house that we lived in now.
Which I wasn't born.
And then, but then I remember when you did it.
I did not.
Because I opened the door thinking that it was my friends at the door, and there was 2 police officers. I was like, Dad, it's for you.
What?
Yeah, no, you were too little, but you had gotten a hold of his phone. You were playing with him.
And I how perfectly typed in 911.
Well, it's possible. It's possible, Cade. You're a smart kid, and you might have known then. Hey, I got to get her out of here. So you gotta
Okay, but so we have touched a little bit that you were in a band, and I know that it actually, the name of the band actually affected the YouTube name that you have now, right?
Well, yeah, I guess was inspired by it in a sense, yes, without a doubt. And that band name would be 90 Miles from Cuba,
Right.
and that would correlate to my YouTube channel, 90 Miles from Comics, or 90 Miles from Comics podcast, whatever. I just made it 90 MFC now, so I feel like it's more general. If I want to do something with a band now, I can on there. I can still make it comic book related, band related, whatever. But yeah, 90 Miles from Cuba, 90 Miles from Comics. It just flows really well, so that's why I went with it. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I just think it works. And then everyone always thinks that I'm actually 90 miles from comics. I'm not really 90 miles from comics, luckily. But, it just sounds good, So we roll with it.
I mean, it could be 90 miles from comics, as in like 90 miles, in a sense of, getting all the ones you want, or that's how fast you're speeding with your comics. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that's how far away you live from like your LCS.
My favorite is a lot of people thought it was just like I had 90 comics. They thought it was like 90 mother effing comics. So
Oh my gosh.
that's what like for the longest time, a lot of people thought it was that. And so I thought that was the funniest thing, and that's cool too. Like however you want to remember it.
Interpret it.
Yeah, for sure. However you want to remember it. Because I think at the end of the day, like that's what it's about. Like, how can you get people to remember you, or like, it's a gimmick in a sense. I'm a gimmick. I come on here, scream, YouTube is 90. It's all a gimmick, But it's what I do to sell myself, I guess, in a sense. So.
Right. Now, what inspired your show? Because you do have the YouTube is 90 show. So, what got you started wanting to do that show? And
So my show, I guess, originally started as an actual podcast that I used to do with a different group of buddies of mine that we started in a comic book shop. Sorry, so this weekly shop that Javi and I used to go to. The owner was like, "Yo, I want to do a podcast," and I was like, "Yo, I'll do the podcast with you." And he's like, "All right, cool." So we started doing a podcast, and it was called Hope's Comics podcast. I don't think it's on anything anymore because I think it was taken down. And the comic book shop unfortunately started to close down, and the guys that I was doing the podcast with like, "Yo, we still want to do the podcast." So I was like, "All right, cool, we can still do it." And we started to like do it at everyone's house. Like we every week alternate. Like, all right, cool. It's gonna be your house this week, my house this week, and Javi's house next week. All right. And we started doing that, and I want to say it was probably about like a year and a half of maybe 2 that we were doing it, and it was a lot of fun. But I felt like we weren't getting a response from like an audience, so to speak, or like a crowd. So I don't know what it was. I just decided one day to go on YouTube, and I come across Bueller. I come across, a couple other, members of the community. It's like, man, maybe this is something that we should do. So I started to then broadcast our actual podcast on my YouTube channel. So if you go on, my channel in the early videos, you got me doing haul videos, which was kind of like my introduction. I would go out, to comic book shops, record myself in the shops, picking up books, edit it, post it, and then weekly I would get together with my buddies, talk comic books, and go live. And we started to see, people come every week, and we started to get like interaction amongst, our listeners, so to speak. And that was something I always wanted. And then I was like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do it, through YouTube. If you guys want to get together, we can. But at the time, Hangouts was like the big thing. And now we have StreamYard that we use, like how we're talking right now. But Hangouts was the big thing. I was like, yo, why waste the gas, the time, to go to someone's house and set up where, just go on your computer, we'll go on YouTube and do it this way. And unfortunately, the other guys in the podcast outside of Javi didn't want to do that. And they're like, that's not really the direction we want to go. So we're out. And I was like, all right. I go, to be honest, like I only want to do this because I want interaction like this right here. I can care less at this point if I have 5 subscribers, but there's interaction. There's people coming in your chat, talking with you and leaving comments. And I felt like we weren't getting that on the other platforms that we were doing.
Right.
And that's what really just drove me towards YouTube. And then luckily, it introduced me to Stone Cold Steve Whiting, Highly a Comic Bro, Jeff Comics 813, Stay Puff, of course, Comic Head 84, Biggie Shack, and you guys. And now I have just this whole family and friendship with people that I never thought I would have. And I really wouldn't trade it for the world. So I'm really blessed that it happened that way. But if it didn't go that route, it wouldn't have led me to where I'm at now. So, it's crazy. I feel like it was like a long journey in a sense, but I was doing a comic book podcast for, I want to say like 2.5 years before, I, almost did like the YouTube thing. It was something that it kind of just like translated from just talking into a mic, because as a musician, I have recording equipment. So we just would record ourselves and post it up. And then it just slowly became this YouTube thing.
Right.
So, yeah, Javi. It was Javi, yo. It was all Javi's fault. So.
Well, and I mean, you do have that announcer's voice. I mean, when you say YouTube is 90, everybody recognizes it. It's the trademark.
Duh.
Well, it is, very radio-esque. Yeah.
But I also feel like that comes from a little bit of my background, being in a band, having to like host shows. And for instance, like my lead singer, great lead singer, he didn't like to be the guy in front of people like in shows. So like I kind of took that on. And then I guess fun fact, and I probably should have told you this, Kate, but I was an intern actually at a radio station, and it was sports talk radio, something that always wanted to do, and I loved every moment of it. I thought I was going to get a job in that industry. It didn't turn out, unfortunately, but I always took the things that I learned from that and try to apply it to my YouTube show, my podcast, you know, before it was that, like, you know, if it was, I guess not to throw your secrets out, Rena, but like, you know, the script that you sent me before, like, so that way, all right, cool. Like, you know, we're on the same page. We know where we're at. I learned those same things in a sense from, you know, the sports radio world, and I applied it to comic books, you know, even though it's a different platform, but certain things I took and was like, all right, cool. This works here too. Like, it's just a different platform. So.
Oh, Rob.
I mean, there's no money in radio, that's for sure. But I'll say this: I loved every moment being an intern at 560 WQAM, and Rob will know what that is down here because that is a staple down here in Miami. And I'm proud to say that I was an intern there. That's great to say that, bro.
Right. Alrighty, well, as we wrap up the show, I will turn it over to you. You got anything new going on your channel? Any last minute thoughts or things you want to advertise?
Nothing new. We should be back this Tuesday for Stash or Trash. I do apologize last week that unfortunately we did not go live. Had an unfortunate event happen with the family that we had to go take care of, and I just decided not to go live Tuesday because I'm a type of person, if I'm not in the right mindset and give it my all, I just don't want to, you know, deal with it. But things are looking way better now, so we're okay. We'll be back this Tuesday, so 9 a.m. FC. Check us out. It's going to be the Stash or Trash show. I'm going to have Highly a Comic Bro, Javi, and my boy D-Hide. We're going to be taking your favorite variants, and we're going to be stashing them or trashing them. So come check us out, please, this Tuesday, 10 o'clock. And there's a whole bunch of other great things happening that night. So catch the rewind if you want to.
Right. There is always watching the playback later.
Yeah, always, you know. Don't be afraid to watch the playback. Leave a comment below, even on this incredible show itself.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, thank you for letting me ambush you with a range of different questions.
No, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to do it again. Let me know when we can do this again. Think of some other crazy questions, and I'll answer those too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for everybody who was in the chat. I know we had a lot of people circling through.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I stumbled over my words plenty of times tonight. Don't worry.
So thank you everybody for coming, and Chad, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's awesome being back, and we have a couple more shows lined up for you guys for the month of Spooky October. And as always, we will see you all later.
YouTube is 90. Oh, sorry.